Tonight we are celebrating a beautiful sculpture, and you'll hear more about that in a few moments. But we are also celebrating the completion of a long Gain Street renovation and upgrade battle that has gone on for many, many years now in our community, starting probably more than 15 years ago.
20 years ago, we were not at this stage. We made some tough decisions. We were criticized at various points for some of those decisions. But the elected leadership and the community leadership said, we've got to make some things happen in order for us to see what we're experiencing today. We are experiencing a renaissance in this community. This is just one very public display of all of the great things that are still yet to come in the city of Tallahassee. We are the capital city of what will soon be the third largest state in the union. What is happening in this corridor is tremendous for this community. It's going to take us a long way down the road to retaining some of the talent that is coming off of these college campuses, the young professionals who are looking for good quality of life to come here and reside and have fun, make money, raise a family, and contribute back to this city.
And the final speaker tonight, ladies and gentlemen, before we let the new declaration sculpture shine, is the artist of this new beautiful amenity to our community. Please join me in welcoming Kenneth Von Rowan, director of the Florida State University Master Craftsman Studio.
Well, this is a night we've all been looking for a long time. The project began when I learned that there was going to be a roundabout just at the entrance of Master Craftsman Studio. And I asked what the plans were for the center of that, and was told that it was to be an oak tree. And I'd ask if a sculpture would be considered, and they said perhaps.
That was an opportunity that presented itself when the Ken Von Rowan with the Master Craftsman took it upon himself to come up with a concept for some kind of iconic feature at that roundabout.
3 weeks later, I did the presentation and things just kept moving forward. I've been working in architectural art for 44 years. I closed the studio in Louisville, Kentucky last summer to come to Florida State and to work in the development of a new public and architectural art program, as well as serve as the director of Master Craftsman Studio. Master Craftsman Studio is really unusual in a lot of ways. We are, as our name implies, craftsmen, but it's craft that is joined with art. That's the foundation of what we are about, and that is creating and fabricating artworks that have a role in other environments. The process of creating a work has a lot of different phases. There's an initial phase of kind of excitement as a design or a concept begins to grow.
We'll find out, won't we?
As I begin to see what it can become. From that excitement then comes the heavy lifting part of it, which is designing it so that the way that it's fabricated and installed is consistent with the original concept. Then it goes from that to the anxiety of fabrication.
Ken at Master Craftsman called me. We've done quite a few projects together. in the past. He called and wanted to go over this project with us, and we started off with a little drawing, a sketch, and then we just started putting our ideas together how to build this thing, how to make it work. Everything had to be precise so the glass would fit. The glass was pre-ordered, so we had to make it fit exactly. There wasn't any change in it.
There are always things that are discovered that you can't always anticipate. And then there is the real anxiety during the installation.
We ended up fabricating small parts here and taking it out to the job site and build it in place. Kind of had to figure it out as we went. We had to build the scaffolding to hold the top ring up and then kind of build it from that. The deadline was the biggest stress. The time frame to have everything fabricated and polished was longer than the schedule, so that kind of put pressure on getting it done to the last minute. And it was done at the last minute. Once we got everything set, it went pretty smooth.
After Bettinger welded it all up, it was a lot of planning. There were some things that were unknown as we entered the project, and a lot of that was to be figured out by me. How we were getting into the wedges was one of the major issues. Initially, the clips that we were going to use didn't work, and so we had to fabricate some new ones, and that was just a matter of Ken and I talking and figuring out how that was going to work. We had input from the other employees as well, and I think just all in all, every project kind of goes like that. We work as a team to figure those things out. First, we got all of the stringing cables in. From there we had an interlaced lattice structure of cable that we were able to take our diamond clips and mount each piece of glass to the cable. And we mounted that with silicone, and so each of the four corners of the diamonds are solidified into the cable structure with these diamond clips. Getting into this project, I'd say the most difficult part was time. We needed to have it done by the dedication.
The glass that I chose was one that has a very unusual characteristic in that when light strikes it from one distance or from one direction, or when it's viewed from one direction, you see one color. When the light moves or when the individual moves in their viewing perspective, those colors shift and they change.
For a long time, Master Craftsman has been at the head of Gaines. We've always wanted Gaines Street to be an artistic corridor, and I think this really opens as a gateway to that strip on Gaines and the artistic community that's trying to develop there.
Gaines Street has gone through an amazing transformation. I mean, I remember it from when I was a student here in the late 60s, and it was an incredibly run-down neighborhood, one that we would never come down to. And now it's become this incredibly vital area of Tallahassee. And so the purpose of this was for the sculpture to really serve as a symbol of this transformation, as though it's a declaration that this is a very significant event that has occurred in Tallahassee's history.
When I first got involved with the project in 2001, at that point the concept was that the DOT would come in and do the widening of Gaines Street, which would go from 4-lane undivided roadway into a 4-lane divided roadway with the ability to possibly go into 6 lanes and come up with a major arterial. That would have basically impacted the properties significantly on either side of Gaines Street, to the point where the buildings would have been demolished. We needed to change the aesthetics, we needed to change the land uses, we needed to change what the feel of Gaines Street was. And one of the elements to doing that was changing the ownership of Gaines Street from the state's DOT ownership to the city's ownership. We worked very closely with the Revitalization Committee, which was a group of citizens and business owners. We worked with the commissions, both the city and the county. We had a flash mob dance for Gaines Street and trying to get that information put out there. We were able to take $18 million worth of improvements on the street, okay, and encourage over $320 million of improvements, private improvements on the periphery of Gaines Street or in and around the corridor, which is huge. That's a huge return. It's very positive.
Well, this is a night we've all been looking for a long time. But it's hard to believe that it actually began less than 6 months ago, 5 months ago, didn't it? And this was a very quick and very expedient process, but it was really came to be because we had an unbelievable team that was led really by the city. And the city is without a doubt the greatest client that I've ever had.
From the very beginning, the city was very engaged in helping bring this thing to a reality. And they have made it much better. They have been just a fantastic client. They've been very supportive of the idea of public art in this location.
It's a very special place in my heart. None of you really know, but I went to school here from 1966 to 70, and it's really where I began to recognize who I was. And it is an incredible honor to come back here to bring something back to the community that was so integral to the beginning of my foundation of my 44-year career means a great deal to me. So thank you as a community. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity, and I hope everyone loves it as much as I do. Thank you.
Public art can change the overall viewpoint of art within a community. I think I've seen that already on this piece for sure. It's opened up people's mind about what art can be.
It's something that belongs to the entire city, and there's a quality and a characteristic that people will take away from their experience. The intent of the work, in general terms, is to make the movement and the approach down Gain Street more interesting and more exciting, more memorable. All of that improves everyone's lives each day.
I think for Tallahassee it's something new, something we don't have anywhere else. It's a good step for art in the community.
It marks a place and it establishes a location that is of importance. This has been consistently the role of public art throughout history. They express an identity and a meaning that the community can all share in. It says something about that particular city, and that everyone can have an identity with that.
We need the icons. We need that public art. We need those things to pretty much embody those places. Hopefully it'll rise in prominence to where once you see it, you recognize that's Tallahassee.